Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're going to be diving deep into something that's absolutely essential for your future financial well-being, pension fund contributions in South Africa. And you've given us some great resources to work with, including a really insightful blog post and even a handy FAQ section. Our goal today, to make sure you walk away feeling empowered and confident in your understanding of how to plan for a comfortable retirement.
Yeah, that's right. We're here to help you cut through all the noise and get to the heart of what matters most for your pension journey.
All right, so let's jump right in. When we talk about pension fund contributions in South Africa, what exactly are we talking about?
Essentially, it boils down to this. Both you and your employer set aside money regularly, which is then invested to create a financial safety net for your retirement. The idea is that when you eventually stop working, you'll have a steady income stream to support your lifestyle.
Okay, so it's a joint effort between me and my employer, and the money doesn't just sit idle, it's actively invested to grow over time.
Exactly. And this is where the concept of compounding interest comes into play. It's one of the most powerful forces in finance and can make a dramatic difference in your final savings amount. Think of it like a snowball rolling downhill. The earlier you start and the more consistently you contribute, the bigger that snowball gets.
That's a great analogy. It really highlights the importance of starting early. Now let's talk about the factors that influence how much we contribute. The blog post mentioned personal information like age and employment start date. Why are those details so important?
Well, those details help determine how much time you have until retirement, which directly impacts how much you need to contribute to reach your savings goals. For example, if you start contributing at age 25, you have a much longer runway for your investments to grow compared to someone who starts at age 45.
That makes sense. It's all about maximizing the time you have for your money to work for you. Now, the blog post also talked about employer contributions and the concept of cost to company. Can you shed some light on that?
Absolutely. Your cost to company is more than just your salary. It includes all the benefits your employer provides, including pension contributions. So when you're negotiating a compensation package, don't just focus on the take-home pay. Consider the value of those pension contributions. Sometimes a slightly lower salary with a higher employer contribution percentage could actually be more beneficial in the long run.
That's a really insightful point. It's about looking at the bigger picture and understanding the full value of your compensation package. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty, calculating our contributions. Can we walk through an example to make it more concrete?
Sure. Let's say your annual salary is $400,000, and you and your employer have agreed to contribute 10% each to your pension fund. That means you'd each be contributing $40,000 annually, for a total of $80,000 going towards your retirement each year.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward, but what about the impact of payee tax? How does that factor into the equation?
That's a great question. Payee, or pay as you earn, tax is deducted from your salary before you receive it. However, the good news is that your pension contributions are tax deductible. This means you can reduce your taxable income by the amount you contribute to your pension fund, which can lower your overall tax bill.
So in essence, contributing to my pension fund not only helps me save for retirement, but also potentially lowers my current tax burden. That's a win-win.
Exactly. And this is where understanding the difference between your marginal tax rate and your effective tax rate becomes really important. Your marginal tax rate is the rate you pay on the last rand earned, while your effective tax rate represents the overall percentage of your income that goes towards taxes. When it comes to pension contributions, it's your effective tax rate that really matters because it reflects the overall tax savings you're achieving.
So while both rates are important, the effective tax rate gives me a more accurate picture of how my pension contributions are impacting my overall tax liability.
Precisely. It helps you see the bigger picture.
Now, the blog post briefly mentioned the Pension Funds Act of 1956. Can you give us a quick overview of what's most important for us to know?
The Pension Funds Act is essentially a framework that sets out rules and regulations for managing pension funds in South Africa. It's designed to protect your savings and ensure that your money is being managed responsibly. It outlines things like investment guidelines, reporting obligations, and how funds should be administered.
So it's like having a regulatory safety net in place to safeguard my pension contributions.
Exactly. And this transparency and accountability help ensure that your funds are being managed in your best interests.
That's definitely reassuring. Now let's talk about the exciting part, investment returns. How do our contributions actually grow over time?
Well, the money you contribute to your pension fund isn't just sitting in a bank account. It's invested in a variety of assets, like stocks, bonds, and property, with the goal of generating returns. Over time, those returns, combined with the power of compounding, can significantly increase your savings.
It's fascinating to think that my contributions are actively working for me, even while I'm busy with my day-to-day life.
Absolutely. And this is where a long-term perspective becomes crucial. Pension funds are designed for long-term growth. So you have time to ride out the inevitable ups and downs of the market.
Okay, so patience and a long-term mindset are key. What about risk? The blog post mentioned market volatility, inflation, and interest rate fluctuations as potential risks to my pension savings. How do I mitigate those risks?
Diversification is one of the most effective ways to manage risk. By spreading your investments across different asset classes, you reduce the impact of any single investment performing poorly. Additionally, your pension fund managers actively monitor the markets and adjust investment strategies to navigate changing economic conditions.
So it's a combination of strategic diversification and active management that helps protect my savings from those potential risks.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that while risk is inherent in any investment, a well-managed pension fund with a long-term investment horizon is designed to weather those storms and deliver growth over time.
That makes sense. Now let's fast forward to retirement. When I'm ready to access my hard-earned pension savings, what are my options?
There are typically two main ways to access your pension benefits: lump sum payments and annuities. A lump sum payment means you receive all your accumulated savings in one go, while an annuity provides regular income payments throughout your retirement, similar to a paycheck.
Okay, so a lump sum gives me flexibility, while an annuity provides a guaranteed income stream. It sounds like there are pros and cons to each option.
That's right. Choosing the right payout structure depends on your individual needs, financial goals, and risk tolerance. It's important to carefully consider your options and seek professional advice to make the best decision for your circumstances.
That's really helpful. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one question that's been lingering in my mind. Are pension funds free?
That's a great question, and one that many people overlook. Unfortunately, pension funds aren't free. There are various fees associated with managing and administering your pension savings, which can impact your overall returns.
Okay, so what kind of fees can we expect?
The most common fees are management fees, which cover the costs of managing the fund's investments, and administration charges, which cover the day-to-day running of the fund.
So essentially, I'm paying for the expertise and services of the professionals who are managing my pension fund.
Exactly. And while these fees might seem small, they can accumulate over time and impact your final savings amount.
Okay, so it's crucial to be aware of these fees and understand how they can affect my overall returns.
Absolutely. And it's always a good idea to compare the fees of different pension funds and ask questions to ensure you're getting the best value for your money.
This has been incredibly insightful, but I have to admit it's a lot to digest.
It's understandable to feel a bit overwhelmed. But remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about pension fund contributions, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions for your future.
You're absolutely right, and I feel much more confident already thanks to your clear explanations.
That's great to hear. And remember, you don't have to navigate this journey alone. There are resources available to help you along the way, including financial advisors who can provide personalized guidance.
That's reassuring to know. So what's next on our deep dive agenda?
Next, we'll tackle some of the most frequently asked questions about pension fund contributions in South Africa. This will help clarify any remaining doubts and provide you with even more practical knowledge to empower your decision-making.
Sounds good. I'm ready for those FAQs.
All right, let's tackle some of those frequently asked questions you mentioned. One common question is about the minimum contribution percentage for pension funds in South Africa.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things about that. Is there a set minimum that everyone has to contribute?
That's a great question, and it's a bit nuanced. While South Africa doesn't have a universal minimum contribution percentage mandated by law, many employers set their own guidelines, typically ranging from 5% to 15% of your salary. It's best to check with your employer or retirement fund provider to understand their specific requirements.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. It really depends on the specific employer or fund.
Precisely. Now, let's say you're feeling really motivated to save for retirement and want to go above and beyond those minimums. What are some strategies for increasing your contributions?
I love that proactive mindset. Let's dive into those super saver strategies.
One powerful approach is to increase your salary sacrifice. This means you agree to have a larger portion of your pre-tax salary deducted and directed towards your pension contributions. It might feel like a slight pay cut in the short term, but the long-term benefits can be substantial.
It's like delaying gratification for a much larger reward down the line.
Exactly. Another option is to make Additional voluntary contributions, or AVCs. These are extra payments you make on top of your regular contributions, adding an extra boost to your savings.
So it's like putting in a little extra effort to supercharge those retirement savings. What other strategies can we explore?
You can also review your investment options within your pension fund. If you're comfortable with a bit more risk and have a longer time horizon, you might consider reallocating some of your investments to potentially higher return assets like equities.
Okay, so it's about finding the right balance between risk and potential reward based on my individual circumstances.
Precisely. And some providers even offer automatic increases, where your contributions gradually go up by a certain percentage each year. This can be a great way to ensure your savings keep pace with inflation and your growing income.
It's like setting it and forgetting it, but in a really good way for my retirement savings. Now, let's revisit the topic of tax benefits. We touched on this earlier, but can you elaborate on how pension fund contributions are tax deductible?
Absolutely. South African tax laws allow you to deduct a portion of your pension contributions from your taxable income, up to a certain limit. Currently, the annual cap is R350,000, or 1/3 of your total remuneration, whichever is lower. This means you're not only saving for retirement, but you're also potentially reducing your current tax bill.
It's like getting a double bonus for being responsible and planning for the future.
Exactly. It's a smart financial move. Now let's say you're thinking about switching jobs. What happens to your pension fund when you move to a new employer?
That's a great question. I imagine it can get a bit tricky when changing jobs.
It can, but there are options available to ensure the smooth transition of your pension savings. You can typically choose to leave your pension fund with your previous employer, transfer it to your new employer's fund, or withdraw the accumulated benefits. However, it's crucial to understand the tax implications and potential penalties associated with each option.
So withdrawing the benefits before retirement age might not be the most financially savvy move.
Generally, it's best to preserve your retirement savings whenever possible to avoid unnecessary taxes and penalties, and to allow your investments to continue growing. Transferring your pension to a new fund is usually the most advisable route.
It's all about maximizing those long-term gains and protecting those hard-earned savings. Now let's fast forward to the exciting part, retirement. How do I actually access my pension fund when I'm ready to retire?
When you reach retirement age, typically around 65 in South Africa, you have several options for accessing your pension benefits. One option is a lump sum payout, where you receive all your accumulated savings in one go. This gives you flexibility and control over your funds, but it also requires careful planning to ensure you don't deplete your savings too quickly.
It's like receiving a big windfall, but with great power comes great responsibility.
That's a great way to put it. Another option is to receive periodic withdrawals, which are regular payments spread out over time. This can provide a steady income stream throughout your retirement, similar to a paycheck.
It's like having a guaranteed income even after you've stopped working. What a great feeling of security.
Exactly. And some pension funds offer annuities, which are financial products that guarantee a stream of income for a specified period, or even for life. This option can provide peace of mind knowing that you'll have a reliable income stream no matter how long you live.
So many choices. It sounds like there's a pension payout structure to suit every need and lifestyle.
Absolutely. The key is to understand your options and choose the payout structure that aligns best with your financial goals and risk tolerance. It's also wise to consult with a financial advisor who can help you navigate the complexities and make informed decisions.
Having expert guidance can make all the difference in making sure those golden years are truly golden. Now, before we wrap up this section, let's revisit the topic of pension fund costs. We touched on this earlier, but can you remind us about the types of fees we might encounter?
You're right. It's important to stay mindful of those costs. As we discussed before, pension funds aren't free. There are various fees associated with managing and administering your savings. The most common fees are management fees, which cover the costs of managing the fund's investments, and administration charges, which cover the day-to-day running of the fund.
So, in essence, I'm paying for the expertise and services of the professionals who are managing my pension fund. But how do I make sure those fees are reasonable and not eating away at my returns?
That's a crucial question. When comparing different pension funds, it's essential to pay close attention to the fee structures. Even small differences in fees can add up over the long term and significantly impact your final savings amount. Don't hesitate to ask your pension fund provider or a financial advisor for a breakdown of all fees and charges.
Transparency is key. It's my money, and I want to make sure it's being managed responsibly and efficiently.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, And the more you understand about the costs associated with your pension fund, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions.
This has been such a helpful deep dive so far. I feel like I'm gaining a much clearer understanding of the ins and outs of pension fund contributions in South Africa.
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, you don't have to navigate this journey alone. There are resources available, including financial advisors, who can provide personalized guidance and help you make the most of your pension savings.
That's really reassuring. So what's next on our deep dive agenda? Are we ready to wrap things up, or is there anything else we need to cover?
Yeah, we've covered so much ground already. Is there anything else we should touch on before we wrap up this deep dive?
You know, we've talked a lot about the mechanics of pension funds, contributions, investments, fees, but I think it's important to step back and remember the bigger picture. Why are we doing all of this?
That's a great point. It's easy to get lost in the details and forget the ultimate goal. Exactly. Ultimately, it's about securing your financial freedom and well-being in retirement. It's about having that peace of mind, knowing that you'll have the resources to maintain your lifestyle, pursue your passions, and enjoy those golden years without financial stress.
It's about creating a future where I can truly relax and enjoy the fruits of my labor without worrying about money.
Precisely. And that sense of security and freedom is priceless.
I completely agree. So as we wrap up this deep dive into pension fund contributions in South Africa, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
If I had to boil it down to one message, it would be this. Take charge of your retirement planning. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. The sooner you start, the more time you have to harness the power of compounding and build a solid financial. Exactly. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about pension funds and how they work, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions that align with your goals.
This deep dive has definitely given me the knowledge and the motivation to take action.
That's fantastic to hear. Yeah. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources available to support you every step of the way, including financial advisors who can provide personalized guidance and help you create a retirement plan that's tailored to your unique needs.
This has been such an eye-opening and empowering conversation. I feel much more confident about navigating the world of pensions and planning for a bright financial future.
That's what we were hoping for. Remember, securing your financial future is an investment worth making. It's about peace of mind, freedom, and enjoying the fruits of your labor during your well-deserved retirement years.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into pension fund contributions in South Africa. We hope you found this deep dive informative and empowering. Remember, knowledge is power. And the more you know about your pension options, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions for a brighter financial future. Until next time, happy saving.